Good afternoon, Commissioners. Good afternoon. If we will come to order, we'll begin the Special Call Budget Committee meeting for Thursday, April 24th, 4 o'clock p.m. Robbie, if you would, call the roll, please.
Mays.
Here.
Commissioner Palmer.
Here.
Commissioner Vandegrift.
Here.
Commissioner Val.
Here.
Commissioner White. Commissioner Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Beauchamp.
Here.
And Commissioner Smallridge.
Here.
Let the record reflect we do have a quorum. If you will join me in prayer, then we will ask Commissioner Vandegrift if she would lead us in the pledge. Heavenly Father, we give you honor and praise. We thank you for all your blessings. We thank you, Lord, for salvation. We thank you, Lord, for guiding us each and every day, for protecting us, for watching over us, for providing for us. Please forgive us of our many sins, times, Lord, that we fall short of your glory. We ask for strength, Lord, to always be in your will. We ask for that strength here today as we discuss the business of your people. Give us your wisdom, give us your discernment, Father, to do what's right. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is appearance of citizens. Anyone in the audience wish to address the Budget Committee at this time? Seeing none, we will move on. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Palmer moves to approve the agenda, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is the executive session with the law director. We do need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion, Chairman.
Commissioner Beauchamp makes a motion to go into executive session. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Vandegrift. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried. We would ask everyone who is not a member of the Budget Committee and/or with the Law Director's office to exit the room, please. We will notify you when the executive session has been concluded. Commissioners will come back to order.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to end the executive session.
I have a motion by Commissioner Beauchamp to end the executive session, go back into special session, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to uphold the bid award for UDT.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Beauchamp to uphold the bid award, seconded by Commissioner Mays. Any discussion?
Mr.
Questions for the law director?
Before we go to the vote, I just want to ask these 4 questions. Do you believe that Anderson County Schools or the Purchase Office exceeded its jurisdiction?
No, I do not.
And then, did you feel like they followed an unlawful procedure?
I do not feel that the procedure that they follow is anything but lawful.
Okay. And do you believe Anderson County Schools acted fraudulently or illegally?
No, I do not believe that. I did not find sufficient proof of that.
And the last one I have is, do you think the Anderson County Schools or the purchasing office acted arbitrarily or capriciously and without material evidence to support their action?
No, I think they acted within the confines of their procedure, and there was evidence to support what they did. That's
Thank you,
my
Mr.
conclusion, folks.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is fiscal year 25-26 budgets, statements of proposed budgets. Director Holbrook.
Okay. One thing I just wanted to, in your bid packet, there's this sheet for the estimated fund balances for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026. It starts off with the estimated fund balance at the end of this year, revenues, expenditures, budget excess or deficiencies, and the fund balance that would end after that's come out. Like, for example, right now the county general fund's showing a $289,000 surplus, which that's not going to, that won't be like that, but that's where we're at with a 0 increase, and so our fund balance starts at 13. But that's a good way of seeing every fund and where they're at with their fund balance, revenues, expenditures, budget deficit, and or excess, which we don't have a whole lot that have excess, but we have a lot of larger fund balances as well, so it's not always necessary. Anyway, I just wanted to explain that really quick, and I want to jump in these budget hearings because I know we have some time restrictions, and we did put Mr. Brooks on the first on the budget hearings because he has to a conference in Chattanooga, so we'll just let him begin.
Director Brooks, floor is yours, sir.
And I did try to put a little sheet in there for each department that's on the, I'm trying to figure out which one. It's the 51,400 county attorney one. I don't have a budget. Page 11. If you look at page 11, it just kind of shows their budget, 24 original budget this year, if it's been amended, estimated what they've spent, a 3-year average, what they requested, and the no change, and I put an increase or decrease line on the right. So I've said enough. But
Go ahead, Jim.
Robbie, that increase of $20,000, is that the CPI increase, the 2.9%?
yes, for For the law director, that is an
That's-
increase.
so
Yes.
that's the
That whole-
increase.
The bottom, the 2606 is the total increase for the department. The salary line item's 5,213,
Oh, I'm looking at a different page.
the very
Okay.
first. So it's 6A, page 11. Huh?
That's just the law director.
That's the law director. Is everybody seeing the page I'm talking about?
So you're eliminating a position and moving that money to two different codes. Right.
You're right.
Sorry, we was in our own different conversation.
It's hard to read. Small. But
Do what?
it's not that easy to read, but
It
Commissioner Palmer, we're not eliminating, we have not filled, we have an open position. We've had an open position since September. In part because we didn't know and still don't know what's going to happen with the Private Act. We're to the point where we're going to fill it with somebody. It won't be an attorney. I don't think we're to that point, but it would be a paralegal type that would be able to focus on things that to help me with, like research and writing, because the writing is not my strong point. But I do feel the need to keep the position. I just and I would like to fill it, but I'm not going to fill it with an attorney, at an attorney's salary.
So you're not eliminating the position, you're just moving the money that was designated there to two other codes, right?
Some of the money, I think.
Some of the money, okay.
yeah, it's on the right. I think it's $5,646.
Yeah.
Any further questions for the law director?
Mr. Chairman, I have
Commissioner
a
Mays?
quick question. What is the going rate for like a paralegal?
I guess it depends on the market. I would think 55,000. 60 to 80.
So,
I stand corrected, 60 to 80.
I liked your first answer better, to be honest with you. And I think, Mr. Brooks, you and I have talked about this in terms of this position, with removing of the delinquent taxes, and I, for one, I don't know how Ms. Copeland feels, but, I guess this is us being selfish, but I kind of like having the law director's office to herself and not doing delinquent taxes. I mean, the jail is got all of the, the things. I mean, it's just a jail. It's what happens. And all of the different things. I don't want to see the law director's office go to collecting delinquent taxes personally. I don't know if the bang, we get enough bang for our buck, and it's not because of you guys, just in general. So I would ask if maybe you would consider, if you think you need that position, is that we could maybe to lower that and save some money. But I would be open to listen to what the board has to say. But I also don't want to cut your legs off from under you either.
Right. And I don't think, I think in the, since September 1, I think we've demonstrated that we're trying to save the county money. We're going to come in well under budget. And, being new on the job and Rachel leaving, we could have sought somebody at that time, and I just didn't feel comfortable because of everything that's going on. And frankly, we were able to handle it. And I need the freedom to fill the position, Commissioner. I'm not saying I will. My plan is to fill it. You know, we're gonna be good stewards of what is entrusted to us. But I would like the freedom to fill the position. And if I'm off on my calculations, then I will have to be within the market value. I've not hired somebody in forever, so you know, what I think is a going rate based on my time in private practice and what in reality with everything that's gone on in these past several years, two different things, I imagine. And keep in mind, and I don't know that this really makes that much difference in the calculations or deliberations of this committee. You know, the Private Act has not changed, and that Private Act was set up with the belief that this office would handle back taxes. Now, that may be out the window when the Private Act's revamped, and then we'll revisit it. But see, that's not going to happen right now. The legislative session's already closed for this year anyway, so at the earliest it would be probably July 1 of 26. And in order for me to keep up with the research and demand for opinions, which I love, but I need some research help on it. So I am telling this committee I do need the freedom to hire someone.
Any further questions for the law director? Robbie, are you looking for a vote to
Yeah.
accept this at this
I have
point?
a couple of questions just
Okay.
for comparison. So is the employee that you have in the paralegal code, I just asked Nicole, I'm assuming she is a paralegal. Morgan.
Morgan.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the budget submitted, but what I'd like, since we have time, is I believe legal services meets in May.
That's correct, May 5th.
I would like to get their take. I would like for that to be on the agenda. Who's chair of legal services? Mayor, could you put that on the agenda? To get their take on it again, and you know, whatever, you know, hear what their recommendation is, but we'll make a motion to approve it tonight. And then we can all, if the recommendation is something totally different, we'll take it up again later.
Commissioner Mays moves to approve the law director's budget with the stipulation that the Legal Services Committee consider it as well. Second by Commissioner Beauchamp. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next is Board of Education.
And I will say, you don't have to approve this budget today. I just put Dr. Parrott on there because they just submitted their budget. It was due in April. And I wanted him to have a chance to discuss a little bit about what he,
Should we do the budget hearings first?
I don't think he'll be very long with his, just probably less than 5 minutes, honestly. Unless y'all have a lot of questions for him.
He's gonna take me to breakfast tomorrow. We're gonna talk. Thank you, sir.
Hey, just a few things. Robbie had asked me to send you all a budget overview from, for this year, and I did that. Just a couple of things. We're down about 152 students this year, and as you know, as we lose students, the money goes down. And there's two pots of money. There's the local money and there's the state money. State money goes down or it stays the same, and the local money, it gets turned back to, this year we lost about 0.9% to Oak Ridge.
I'm sorry, Dr. Parrott, hang on just a second. We're getting a complaint that the TV isn't broadcasting?
They think we're still in it.
I'm unsure, sir. I haven't heard anything.
Okay. Sorry, Dr. Parrott, go ahead.
Okay. So, and that goes back, they take that ADA back to July 1 of this year. So we lost about 380,000 this year. So, so we had to cut. And there's a couple of things. I just handed you the salary comparison to surrounding counties, and I don't even put Oak Ridge on there because Oak Ridge is about $10,000 to $20,000 more than us, and there's no way we can do that. But we lose good people every year to surrounding counties, Knox County, Rome County, even Campbell County, because Campbell County, even though they pay less, their insurance, the way they do their insurance is probably $1,000 less a month on some of the people, so it really helps them on their insurance. So we had a state mandate. Next year we have to have a BS at $50,000, and so that mandate doesn't matter if you lose money or doesn't matter. It's still a mandate. So we've got that this year in our budget. That required a 3% pay raise. And we did that. We were looking at just doing a $1,500 or $2,000 or something like that. But the problem is, if you look at the salary comparison, on the bottom end, we're pretty good. We're ahead of Knox, Campbell, and Loudon. But as you get up into 20 years, that's where we lose our experienced teachers at. And so we figured the 3% would help us a little bit more on the upper end. So overall, we cut 9 teaching positions, 2 assistants. I've cut the assistant director of schools position. We're looking at coordinated school health, library books, supplies, pretty much every one of them cut. And by doing that and putting in those things, we come up with a projected estimated deficit of about $358,000. And if you look at the thing Robbie got, we've got a good fund balance. And we believe that it's a good solid budget. It's good numbers. We don't overestimate. I talked to Robbie about the estimates on sales tax and property tax, and the ones he gave me, we went about half of what he said. So we don't want to get up there and be in a fund deficit. And so we've done that, and we're not coming asking again for any money. I know Ben Tyler's talked about this. I just kind of will go over a couple of things. When I first took over as director of schools, if you saw what the county did is about every 4 or 5 years, we came to you and we wanted money to fix roofs. We wanted money to buy computers. We wanted all this money. And so about every 5 years, it just happened. We didn't have any funds to do anything else with. And we just kept going deeper and deeper in debt. And that wasn't a good thing. And me and the mayor had a lot of discussions about that, how we could do those things. So in 2018, we come with a proposal to stop borrowing money and to get us on a financial solid footing. And we've not come to you all, and this will be my 10th time that I've come before you. And in 10 years, we've not asked you, other than that one time we asked for 4 cents. We've not asked for anything else. We've had to cut things. We've had to do things. But we've also been able to take those funds and make sure our preventive maintenance is up to date. If you look, the school system, we didn't ask, it will allow the county school system to pay down debt and at the same time keep up with maintenance projects. We've done that, and that allowed us to build a $30 million school in Anderson County without a tax increase. And somebody asked me today, is that the reason the appraisal went up? I said, no, it had nothing to do with Claxton School. But I think if you look at it, if we hadn't had that 177 account, we'd have had to done a tax increase for this school because we're going to use that money to pay for some of this stuff. The other thing that's going to be great, on June 30th, 2031, the high school debt service drops $1,538,000. There's 6 more payments on it. And through our capital funds and things like that, we're not going to need that money. And that's money you all pay. And that's money that'll go back into your budget in 5 years. And I just think that we've done a great job with this. We've got a great school system. You know, it costs a lot of money to keep 18 schools open. And we know that a lot of schools that some districts, they may say, hey, we're going to do whatever we need to do to make ends meet. Well, we don't do that. We don't have deferred maintenance. Our schools are in great shape. We're 1-to-1. And I'd ask that you approve this budget like it is, and we'll do a great job with it. And I'll take any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Parrott?
I don't necessarily have a question, but I agree with you, Dr. Parrott. I mean, you do a great job. I mean, there's no question, 2 ways around that. And part of what I said on the 10th is something I've said since I got elected, and building the Claxton School side, which has been in the making, I mean, overdue for many years. And
Yes.
I know the community's thrilled to death. And I think you appreciate this probably more so than most director of schools, but Anderson County has serious needs, not just schools. I mean, we've got, you know, EMS stations with ceilings falling in or mildew. We've got stations that need to be built. We've got, you know, crammed space here. You know, I feel like that as a county, and of course the schools, whenever you say the schools, it's like the one word that gets stuck out. You know, I think we overpay our highway department $750,000 a year in sales tax, but unfortunately the state of Tennessee says we can't do anything about that because of the maintenance of effort. They turn in $750,000 every single year on positions that they don't have an intent to fill, but we can't do anything with that money. We just have an allocation of revenue problem, and this is not a blame on you. It's just a fact in Anderson County. You know, I feel like every year we're having to pinch something in order just to give our staff raises. We've got people that are literally making below poverty in this county, but every year we're trying to just figure out how we're going to make it. And I'm not saying this is a schools thing or anything, but if you look at our tax dollar, our levy at 262 or 263, whatever it is, you all take a look at the percentages and you all make the determination. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. But if everybody's good with how our pennies are allocated, then we'll just keep rocking and rolling. But I just think that it's a tough decision, whether it be we talk to the schools in 5 years about those pennies, or maybe Gary says, you know what, I'm going to be nice and give back some of that money, or, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of different things, but until we take a deep look at the way we spend our money, then every year we're going to be back into this conversation of, well, who needs to cut, or who needs to, you know, we've got department heads that want $15,000 raises. We've got some that have been here 10 years and make $50,000 a year. Like, we find ourselves in this conversation every year, and it's been that way since I've been involved in it, since 2002. And I feel like it's like Groundhog Day, the movie. I feel like Bill Murray. And I just think that everybody in this room, listening to everything, just take a look at the pie chart that Robbie puts together every year. And if we're good with that, then that's the trajectory we go on. But let's remind ourselves every May, we find ourselves wishing we had more. Again, you do a phenomenal job.
I think I would add to that is it's hard for a county. If you look, there's very few counties that have 3 school systems in them. And it's hard when you have 3 different school systems that take from that one pot of money. I believe that. Well, here's the thing that I promised you, and you've not had it, is before you'd have these budget meetings, all the teachers would get into red shirts and they would fill all these things up, and it would be so I've kept my end of the bargain. So you've got your pot, I'll take care of mine, but I'm not asking you for any of your pots. So thank you. Any other questions? I got it.
Any further questions? Any further discussion? Robbie, you said you're not looking for a vote here tonight on this one?
Hey, and they are moving dirt at Claxton.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey,
Thank-
if you've got any questions, don't hesitate. Give me a call. Y'all got my number.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
Thank you.
Next item is EMS.
Thank you, Chairman Val and Budget Committee members. Actually, I'm going to go a little off script. There was something brought to our department's attention earlier today, doesn't pertain to our budget. There's a post on social media that pertaining to a call that occurred yesterday in the Clinton area around 4 p.m. And that an ambulance or the fire department did not respond. And sometime after 6 p.m., the family called back and canceled the responders, and they said that the dispatcher told them they would be billed anyways. And then they went about their business and went to the hospital themselves. So we obviously take reports like that very seriously. My office and myself has not received any phone calls or any contacts from individuals inquiring about this. But when some others saw it, they sent it to me. We immediately looked into it. Anderson County Sheriff's Office looked into the phone records. Anderson County E911 looked into the phone records. Clinton Fire Department and their Clinton E911 looked into their phone records, and there are no received calls to 911 or any of the dispatch centers during those times from any individual reporting that type of a call. They did not receive it. Matter of fact, Anderson County E911 reached out to Knox County 911 just in case something crazy happened, and they did not report having a call either. I cannot tell you what happened. I cannot tell you what occurred, but what I can tell you is the 2 dispatch centers that should have received a call did not receive a call. Therefore, no emergency equipment responded because no call was received. We had no reports. Again, nobody reached out to us directly yesterday or today about this, but we did absolutely take a look into it, and I wanted to take the opportunity and let you all know. I'm not a big fan of social media myself, so I wouldn't have seen it, but somebody reported it to me just before lunch, and we took a look at it. So apologize for the other than budget topic. So as typical, we submitted multiple budgets. We submitted 3 budgets this year for your consideration. Budget number 1 is the item that has the most ask. Budget number 3 doesn't have anything new to it. That doesn't have any additions. None of the budgets address or ask for any kind of salary increase. We will defer to the graciousness of commission on what is done for county employees and be included in that. We did have a big ask last year, which commission was very gracious, and we continue to move forward with that. I do request making a change, though. In all 3 of our budgets, we did ask to move funds from our budget to the motor pool budget. After consideration and discussion, especially with John Vickery, we would like to keep those budget funds in our budget, and we would just make a change and ask that the motor pool start billing us for parts. Right now, the system is not the best. It's, in my mind, not really appropriate. This would be a change where they would, instead of us getting a purchase order that they use, they would just start billing us for the equipment that they buy and use it that way. You seem like you have a question.
Why would 101 accounts be billing 101 accounts? I don't like that at all, actually.
Well, and I can agree with you on that to a certain extent, but I will give you an example from my department where that does happen. We do bill for transports. We bill the jail for transports. And the reason we do that, while we're both general fund, is Medicare requires that you bill them at their rates or the lowest rates that you bill at. So if we give the sheriff's department or the jail free transports, then Medicare wants the same. That would be,
But that's a requirement
significant.
under the law.
yeah, it
right?
is, yes.
So that's, I don't think the same. But,
Just an example, I guess.
yeah.
But that would be a change that was from what I submitted. But I know I got a sheet on there, some things that are one-time spend, some recurring. There's a new truck that we're asking to add, call volume increases, and the Claxton truck has been tremendous with benefits not just in the Claxton community, but also in other parts of the county, most specifically Clinton, Rocky Top, and Andersonville have seen the biggest benefit with those trucks in there with having Claxton. The East End Oak Ridge truck has seen some decrease, but the West End Oak Ridge truck in Oliver Springs saw little to no increase really to their call volume. Give you an example, the West End Oak Ridge truck behind Kroger is our busiest truck on calls, responses. In 2024, they did 2,800 responses. Rocky Top is the lowest on numbers. They did 1,800. Yes, though, Rocky Top is a bit of a longer drive to Methodist Hospital, but even when you take that into account, their call volume is lower. And that was, 1,800 was because Claxton lowered it. The year before for Oak Ridge, they did 34 more calls in 2023 when we didn't really have a Medic 7 in Claxton. So there really wasn't a big difference there. And Oak Ridge is growing. I think I heard Mayor Gooch say not too long ago their population's up to 34,000, that's a big jump. And so we're looking to add a day truck in Oak Ridge that would assist with the lower acuity calls, the convalescent calls, the priority 3 calls. And a priority 3 call is someone calls 911, but it's not dispatched as a lights and sirens emergency. It's dispatched because somebody called that they aren't feeling well, they aren't having critical life threats. We respond without lights and sirens and transport them to a hospital. This truck would be capable of handling those calls, and that would take off of the paramedic staff trucks to hopefully have them in availability longer to handle the 911 calls. So that is the focus for this truck. We would house this truck on the east end because obviously the west end is a one-bay station and wouldn't be able to accommodate that truck as far as a housing goes. So it would be on the east end. But even on the non-emergency responses, we can send a truck that's maybe a mile farther than another truck to answer that. That is the biggest ask. That is personnel and pay and benefits, and that is a reoccurring. So what we are looking at right now, we have seen an increase in our call volume. Compared to last year, we are on pace for 1,300 more calls in 2025 than we did in 2024. 800 of those are convalescent. We have tried to pick up and do some more of those, but 500 is for our 911 calls. We do use 911 trucks at times for convalescent calls. It's not ideal. It really is not. We have decreased that over the years, but we still have those times. Some of that is interfacility transfers, but some of them are discharges maybe across the street to NHC in Oak Ridge or Briarcliff, Diversity Care, and some of the other locations. So this isn't because what we have seen in the past. It also is what we're seeing right now in increase in volume. She's got a question.
Are these bullet points that are in option 2 and 1, not in 3, these extra bullet points, are these your priorities? Like, so is option 2 your priority, or option 1's priority, or
So option one is our main
That's every-
request,
okay.
correct. And so why, go ahead.
If you had to prioritize those out of those bullet points,
Out of the bullet points.
what would be your first priority? Say if you couldn't get all 5, what would be your first? I think there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You talk about the staffing, the cleaning. My priority would be that 12-hour truck.
Okay. And I think we talked earlier, and you've applied for a grant for that HAAS.
Yes, for the HAAS ambulance public alerting system, we did apply for a grant. It was approved this month through commission for Tennessee Highway Safety Office grant. And actually in the grant, we applied it for ourselves, for EMA, and the animal control. That does fund it for 1 year. And HAAS, I guess Haas is maybe how you say it.
Yeah.
You pay for it 1 year at a time. So there's not a 3-year contract and saying, well, if we get it for 1 year, we're on the hook for 2 years. If we decide not to move forward after that 1 year, then we would not be committed to after that. But we did apply for a non-matching grant for that.
Okay.
But we won't know until the fall if we get that, and we can continue to pursue those options for that.
What would be your second priority?
Wow. So second, the paramedic school. And obviously, the key performance raises was something that was already approved last fiscal year, but I put it in there because that would be an increase for what was approved. But paramedics are the hardest position for us to fill. And so when we have staff that are interested in going to paramedic school, and we can not only assist them at work, but we can also have a 3-year work agreement after they complete paramedic school. So you really get a 4-year work agreement out of it, because paramedic school is 1 year. That is a benefit for us to retain those employees and move forward.
Any more questions for Director Sweet?
I have one for Robbie. So the option 2, if I'm reading this correctly, that's a $258 increase, and the option 1 would be the $529 increase. Okay.
And, Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Robbie, too. Just so I'm reading, crap. There it is. The raises that you've proposed on that scenario document you gave us, is this assuming we go with option 1, 2, or 3? Not option, but what about option?
I mean, that's, option 1 is an additional 2 employees, and I don't have that included.
But the other things, do you have included in?
Well, you asked me about the raises.
No, I guess my question is which option, when you factored in?
The $500,000 deficit that I put in the summary is option 1.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions for Director Sweet or Director Holbrook? Robbie, are you looking for a vote on this
I
tonight?
mean, if y'all aren't comfortable making a vote on what you want to do,
I have one more question. Are you expecting to buy 3 ambulances this coming up year?
Yes. So you got to remember, it takes anywhere from 2 to 3 years to build an ambulance
Okay.
now. So we're actually trying to keep us on pace for 2027 to
Okay.
receive ambulances and keep that moving forward.
Okay.
You may want to make a motion on this one, or we want to wait?
I'd like to wait. Let me study a
Okay.
little bit more.
All right. Thank you, Director Sweet. Next item is the Property Assessor's Office. Hello, Johnny.
Thank you for having me. guess I wanted to, Commissioner Palmer had asked me some questions before when we were up. I didn't know if you had more questions for me or if you, what part do you want me to discuss?
You may want to start off.
A couple of things. We've already approved both contracts that were, increases, so that's off the table and completed. The only thing really there is he's asking for $60,000 in part-time. He's asking for an additional $18,000 in deputies and $15,000 in data processing services. I think that's,
And those three things I can address. The,
I thought EcoView was to help you not have to get
Yeah.
all these positions.
I'm sorry?
I thought EagleView, that software, was to help avoid from hiring additional personnel.
Yeah, and I'm not planning on hiring any. I thought maybe later on, if I see we're in a bind, we'd have to hire one. But no, this is not additional. This is just to maintain what we've
So the
got.
60,000, he's already,
no,
That's one thing I was going to talk about that. That was part-time money that I got approved in 2014 for reappraisal for the help that the state would send, and they quit sending it. And it was in the budget for tax years 14 through 2020 for 7 years. We did a budget combination in 2020 after the reappraisal, put two budgets into one. That money never did roll over. It's $53,000 per year. That's the 60s just increasing the 53, but we didn't notice it missing because we didn't use it till the year 6 months, the year before the reappraisal and the 6 months into the new year. I'd talked with Robin, we thought we had it in 2024 early going into the reappraisal, and didn't notice till later in I think it was December, Robbie caught that we were out of money in that fund, and what happened, it never transferred over to the 52,300. It was in the 52,310 for 7 years.
and I gave you all a copy of that, so just to.
but we've submitted 4 or 5 years of budgets that it wasn't in there.
Well, no. In 1819, there was $53,000 in the part-time budget. Johnny spent $3,726. The next year, it was lowered to $25,000. We spent $6,000. The next 3 years, it went to $52,300. There was $10,000 in each year, and none of that was spent. So it's zero now. But even when they put 53 in, we only spent $3,000. I don't think we need to put a placeholder at a part-time code just because that's a lot of money to put in part-time when we're not spending it.
The first year I thought was 14 going into 15.
There was 25,920, and we did spend 24,000 that one year.
And then in 2020, I think we spent probably 36.
6.
Rough 34,
How many
36.
parcels do we have? Just curious.
39,000, a little over 39,000 real, and then with personal property about 44,000. And I'm just looking to the future. I won't need this until the next reappraisal, but I was putting in capital outlay, and I think we've had, I think 5 finance directors, but I believe it was Natalie said that since the commission had approved that, not to put it in capital outlay, that it would, since commission had voted for it, and I went back and watched the tape, it was voted in April of 14. And while I'm trying to just look at what the future might hold, I went from 53 to 60. We'll try to use 6 months of it, and it'll be in the latter part of 2028, and then after 2029 rolls, and that's the 4-year new reappraisal.
So you're
it'll
needing
be
it for then.
but I just want to make sure that it was back in there because it's not been in the budget since the 2020 combination. It was inadvertently omitted. We didn't need it, so we weren't looking for it.
And what's the 18,000 for?
That's just for employee raises.
Okay.
And I want to say that about that code too, just because I put a sheet in there for you all of every employee in that office, and with the current budget that he has, there's $22,000 and $22,060 that are not committed to a full-time salary. He used it this year because Mr. Clear, that's his part-time employee, was seasonal, and he paid him out of the full-time code. But next year, There'll be, about July 1st, of what we're paying in salaries in that office, there's $22,000 already in that budget that's not committed to a person. So this would be an additional $18,000 on top of that, which is a 4.3% increase in that budget.
So he can move that 22.
He could use that for, I mean, yeah.
I guess
Okay.
that was rolling over every year because I wasn't aware of
How
it.
many employees do you have?
9 and myself.
9 plus you?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes. And that, on the reappraisal, that data processing, that's just an increase in fees that the state, they did. That's for anything we did, that's just cost, what the state bills us for the data processing for the reappraisal. And that'll be just, the biggest part will be for this year, and it'll be about half of that for the next 3 years till we go into another reappraisal. That's what they charge us to process and mail out the assessment change notices and prepare all that.
Any more questions for Johnny?
So I have a quick question for Robbie. So you're saying the 18 that he's asked for, there's really 22 already there he could use if he wanted to.
That'd be for extra 40,000.
Right.
Yes, I'm saying yes.
But you're saying he could still accomplish his goal with his current money.
The 416,153 that's currently budgeted for salaries and the property assessor, full-time salaries are 394,093, which leaves an availability of $22,060. He doesn't have it this year because of, we have Mr. Clear as, we didn't have part-time funds, so we made him seasonal, which he worked a lot of hours, and we paid him out of the 106 code, which is legal, a seasonal employee, but I don't think they're going to be using it. I don't even think he's going to work next year.
He won't be back, but what I've asked for in the 60,000 is just for who I might have to have 2 to replace him on another reappraisal.
I guess that's the part I don't get, because the Eagle View is supposed to keep from having to hire more employees.
Right, but it wouldn't be a new position. I mean, it was already accounted for since 14. He does like property statistics, statistical.
But it's not in your
land.
budget, it has to come from somewhere else, right, and be put into his budget. The 60,000.
He's asking for new money there.
New money.
Well, it
I mean,
was-
whether we got it in 14 or 15 or not, it's not been in the budget since then.
Well, I've got the print. I've got it showing in the budget all the way up till 2020,
There was 10,000.
and then when we rolled it in there,
Have you ever used 60,000 in part-time?
I've used probably with him the most I used was I think 36 or 38,000.
I'm talking
and then
about-
this year I don't know what he spent.
No, I'm
this year.
sorry, in that part-time code. In the part-time code, not, because you said you paid him out of 106. 169, Robert, what is the most we've ever used?
You
on
have
that?
I mean, that we're showing since 12/13 is $24,105. And that was 1 year. And then the most since 14/15 was 26,075, and nothing since then. Mr. Clear did get paid 31,000 this year out of the 106 code, but he also has, it's a more skilled position, so his hourly rate is higher than a normal part-time person.
And he pays out really it'd be 2 budgets because he works like 6 or 7 months in the year prior to reappraisal, and then so he's been off, right, but he's coming back probably next week to assist us for probably 2 or 3 weeks till we go into the board hearings. And he's worked some this year too. So he works on 2 budget years really, I guess is how you.
Robbie, do you know what the CTAS 3% would be? If you don't have it, we'll get it later.
3,342.
What?
Right up here, 3,342.
Which one are you on? Oh, I'm not on that one. Okay, sorry. Sorry, I'm on the different one. 3,000. Thank you.
It's a $12,484. We do have the money in place too to finish paying Mr. Clear the rest of this fiscal year.
You want to think about that more? I need to digest some more.
Any more questions for Johnny or Robbie?
I would, Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to make a motion that we approve the budget that gives him 416,153 and his deputies, and we do not add the 60,000, and then whenever the time comes that he needs part-time help, then we address it in that budget cycle. Instead of, I don't want to hold up $60,000, for the next 3 years or the next 2 years, but also giving him the increases in the technologies that we've granted.
Motion by Commissioner Mays to approve the property assessor's budget request minus the 60,000 request for part-time. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Allen.
Shane?
Any
ju-
further discussion?
I
Robbie?
do have a correction on that motion. It's basically just a zero increase in raises. I mean, in
Right, and that's what.
In salaries.
Because he already has.
22.
Yeah.
So it's a 416,153, which is the original budget this year, and zero in part-time, is what Tyler's motion was.
Yeah.
So say that again, Robbie. That's
It's
a-
basic,
oh,
it's a no increase budget for salaries.
Okay.
416,153 and
Okay.
zero in part-time.
'Cause I'd
Was the
like to-
motion that Tyler made.
Okay.
John?
I just, Chairman, I just want to make sure that I wasn't asking for the 53,000 to be put in there now. I was asked in 14 to put it in capital outlay, so each year, so it would be planned for it. And then the finance director at the time said, well, you don't need to keep putting it in capital outlay since it's been approved. It'll roll up that year since
I don't
commission's
think
already
human
approved.
capital would fall
But-
under.
But
that.
that's, I mean, if you want to wait till then, that's fine. I didn't want you to think I wanted it today and just sit there, because I
Okay.
don't.
All right.
I won't need it till the beginning of the next 6 months before the next reappraisal.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny.
All right.
Would y'all like to take a break?
Yeah.
All right, we'll recess for 10 minutes. Commissioners, we'll come back to order. We will get back into the special session. But the record reflects we do still have a quorum at this point, but we're slowly descending. All right. Next item on the agenda is the Veteran Services Office. Mr. Nations, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and Budget Committee. My budget, shows everything, and I've got about a $6,389 increase in it from last year. Most of that is I've increased my office supplies. I've included office processing equipment to increase my technology. The laptop I have, we had to reset it back to Windows 10 because it cannot keep up. The Veteran Service Office, we're going from one program to a new program that's more user friendly, allows for more things. So the technology will increase. A CAC reader for my ID card instead of carrying an external CAC reader that has to be plugged in, and you go to people's house or to the nursing home and you got 2 extra cords hanging out of the laptop just to be able to do the thing. So that's increased on the technology. Also increased the printer, scanner, copier function in Oak Ridge. I have just a household brother all-in-one printer over there that when you tell it to scan, it scans it to wherever on the desktop, and then you have to merge files together again. So just trying to increase the technology. Office supplies, the increase there is to basically having 2 offices, trying to beautify both offices, make sure they're user friendly. When veterans, widows, family members come in, I don't want to look like I'm scrounging from DOE over here on stuff, so just updating some of the equipment and stuff there.
Also, just so you're aware that Scott submitted a new budget to us this week, and that it's in the handouts that I gave you. It's the next to last page. So that's some of the increases he's talking about are newer from the original budget that he presented, and so 58,300 and.
Yeah, my original budget probably was quite a bit higher, but it went down the new submission due to the leaving of my assistant, and now we're hiring in the process of hiring a new assistant, and the pay and stuff is going down, changing from there also.
Any questions for the Veteran Services Officer?
So is there more, Robbie, then there's more?
It's a total budget, $12,645 increase from the original budget.
I'm looking at this sheet where you've got it all on one piece of paper.
This-
So this is his total budget,
Yeah, on the very
okay.
far right is the decreases and increases.
Okay. Does that include the salary?
Yes, it's 10,400 at the top.
It's got 6,973.
Which that's not
Okay.
now. Now,
I know it was in that.
hey Robbie, are you sure on that? Because the original budget was more because it had all of Jenny's salary in there, which was quite a bit more than this.
That's
Now
why I
this
was
is the new
using this
one because I'm only up 63.
We go from the original budget, 24, 25. The increase.
Yeah, he's asking for that.
Yeah, my new budget's only 123, which is $6,389.
It's got
Yeah, well, you gotta add in.
And that's with using your system to add all these other numbers in. Well, no, I agree. When I used your spreadsheet, I guess it calculated those categories as 0.
Yeah, but they won't be.
No, I'm glad you're clarifying that. So it'll be more when I use the spreadsheet that calculates the extra numbers. Mine gave me zeros for Social Security and stuff like that. The spreadsheet they provided, when I put it in there, it gave me zeros, so I did not include it in the budget. So it would be the 12,000 that Robbie's talking about.
Yep.
So the 2.4 is the salary, is that benefits and everything?
That
This
with-
sheet says 11 something.
Well, that's what the total is, but that's included in he reduced the salary of the assistant, and so that The increase in Social Security and retirement was 428, 463 total. That includes the 10,400, the the benefits on top of it, Social Security, Medicare, and stuff. All that's in there.
Okay.
Any further questions for Robbie or the Veteran Services Office? All right, I believe it's the pleasure of the committee to not vote on this at this time, is that correct?
We'll wait till the May meeting.
Okay. All right, so we will wait for the May meeting on that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your time. Next item is the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Barker, you have the floor, sir.
I like to always start out with the headache I get hearing Robbie spout off 2218 BR 549, and I can't keep up. So on our budget, what we're asking for is a couple of things. Probably best to lead off with. It's been said recently by a private citizen, but also doubles as a member of our sheriff's department, that county commission has not been supportive of us. And I just want to make sure that I'm clear that that is not the feeling of the sheriff's office as a whole. Definitely not my opinion, because you guys have been absolutely fabulous, and I think you guys have done the absolute best you can being pro law enforcement, despite what some claims have been. So it makes it a little awkward to stand up here with that kind of climate going on out there, but at the same time, we still have to continue and do our business. And so what we're asking for in our budget increase is simple. It boils down to three things. The first being our contract increases with the jail and our kitchen. Now, we have seen substantial savings with our partnership with Heritage. So these are built-in increases into the contract. And we are currently working on some new ideas for our kitchen, feeding these inmates, because we have seen our jail population increase. And of course, we're looking at some things too that are outside of budget that we're hoping will really make a difference in some of our numbers as far as incarceration goes. Some good news on the horizon, because we did achieve Tier 2 status. We do get extra pay that is because we have the Tier 2 status, and the state has passed an increase in that. So we're going to see that number that we get from the state is actually doubling. We're just waiting on Governor Lee's signature on that. So that will provide us some relief as well from a budgetary standpoint. So that Tier 2 is paid off in spades for us, and we're excited about that. The second portion of this is dispatch. We're asking for 2 new dispatchers. Now, we're currently at 16, and we're asking to move the spots to a total number of employees at 18. And that is because we've taken on Rocky Top, Oliver Springs, and Norris as dispatching. So I don't remember the exact number, 13 total. We dispatched for a total of 13 different agencies. And so we believe that, honestly, we believe we need more than 18. However, these 2 spots we're asking for, are actually going to move us to get more in line and help us alleviate some of the overtime. Because as you guys probably painfully know, as we do, our overtime budget and dispatch gets blown away anytime we have someone in training or we have someone take time off because of the just sheer number. And our plan is for these 2 dispatchers, we're going to put them kind of an overlapping peak time for us. So it's not a simple just adding additional shifts. We're going to strategically place them at the consoles when we have our call volumes. And why that's going to be important to us is it's going to increase our response times and stuff. So, for example, we have 4 at any given time on the dispatch. And if somebody's sick, somebody's got to come in on their day off. We have no wiggle room for that, because 4 is the absolute minimum we have to have there. And And what we're hoping to do with that is when somebody is out on vacation, out sick, or in training, we have these extra fifth dispatcher at the console taking calls. And for example, with 4, imagine if we have 3 traffic stops across the county at the same time, and so you've got 3 dispatchers tied up. But then they start needing to check for warrants and NCIC checks, runner driver's license. That console stays tied up, and then we have a crash or fire come out for one of our volunteer fire departments, and it gets busy really fast. So we think that the 2 additional spots is reasonable. We think it's kind of a compromise, even though we feel like we'd love to have 4, but we understand what we're up against from a financial standpoint as a county. And so we think we can make 2 work, and that would get us in a lot better position, and again, help us alleviate some of this overtime. In addition to that, the municipalities that we have entered into these agreements with, they do, although they're saving some money, because they're getting out of the dispatch business, and we think that's going to be the trend across the state, consolidated dispatches. They are also paying for, they're giving us money, giving the county money to help cover these to the tune of about $250,000. So 2 of our 16 now are part of the previous agreement, and we've negotiated some money coming in from the municipalities for these additional 2 too. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a complete wash. However, it's some relief. We're making them carry some of the weight for us as well, since we're taking this on. And then, of course, the bulk of our increase is the 5% pay increases. Now, we are outside of schools, we are the largest employer in the county, and we think 5% is fair. And we believe also that we're just trying to keep up with the environment around us. In 2019, I think it was, or 2 years ago, right? We got 2 years ago when you guys gave us this new pay scale and merit pay. Tremendous help. We've seen a tremendous difference in not just the quality of people, but retention. And unfortunately, people around us still keep moving in that direction. However, we are reasonable in the sense that, and I've stood up here and said this before, we know that you guys as a body have to worry about everyone, not just our police officers and our corrections officers. However, we think that if the 5% isn't approved, because it's a peculiar budget time with the reappraisals and stuff, and we know this is a tight cycle for us, that we have full faith in you that you will do what you can for us. However, we believe 5% is reasonable, and that's part of our request, the bulk of our request.
So Robbie, what is the cost for 2 new additional positions for dispatch?
The 2 new positions, on the summary I have the,
Just the positions.
and I didn't have that broken down.
Okay.
That's got the 5%.
We know it.
5%. What is it?
It's 63.2 per dispatch.
And that's 63 for each employee?
It's 63,250. That's what you gave me.
For the 126. I did put the revenue in that the sheriff just mentioned, the 200, and I have 241, I think, in there currently.
Well, sheriffs are we like horseshoes and hand
You round it
grenades.
up.
We get close.
But and I don't know that we have all those agreements executed yet, though, with the cities.
So currently, we do have ongoing MOUs with all the 3 of the cities that we dispatch for.
Okay.
So the one we're operating on now that we will change in July has Rocky Top paying $40,000, has Norris and 911 splitting and making up another 40,000. And then our agreement with Oliver Springs has them paying 125,000. Starting July with the new MOUs, the Oliver Springs will continue to pay 125,000, and Norris, Rocky Top, and 911 between the three entities will also put in about 126,000.
With 126 for all three municipalities?
Yeah, so it's
Not per
Rocky
community.
Top and 911's paying for one dispatch position, and then Norris and 911 is paying for the other position. So between the three of them, they pay 126,000.
Okay.
Yeah, and Oliver Springs pays for 2 as well with what we worked out with them.
That's the only thing you're asking for other than salary increases, those two
Salary
positions?
increases and our contract increases.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I normally just go ahead and, approve the contract expenses, increases myself, because those are things we have to pay. Most
Yep.
contracts go up every year for.
Yeah, and we're always look for a sweetheart deal, because sometimes when they know your stomach's getting full with increases and you start shopping around, they kind of pay attention to that.
Dr. Smart.
Yeah, Sheriff, so are we saying that we're picking up the dispatch for 3 municipalities,
Yes, sir.
and that's gonna pay us an additional 200 and...
It's going to offset the cost that the county's absorbing from these 2 new positions and the 2 current ones that they're already funding.
So it's basically for
A
the
wash.
personnel, yeah.
Yeah.
It's more than a wash, isn't it? I mean, it's
No. So basically, as Captain Owens just said, we've been dispatching for Rocky Top and Norris, and the funding on the front end, just to get in the door, just with how it played out, it was the numbers were not exactly even to what the cost of the employee was. So then when Oliver Springs came back and decided they wanted to turn theirs over as well, because they were looking for cost savings on their end, that's when it came out that Rocky Top and Norris, in combination with the assistance of E911, cover 2. And then when we told Oliver Springs, yeah, we'd love to do it, but this is what it's going to have to cost, because we're going to need 2 more. And that's the 2 we're asking for today. And so Robbie said 126, and we're at 125. And of course, 911 board assisted all 3 municipalities with some one-time money to get them through it, till they get squared away.
I understand now.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions for the sheriff or Robbie?
So we are looking for the contracts in.
So we have, so we've drawn up the contracts, and we have verbal agreements from all city managers. We had a meeting just recently, I guess it was Tuesday of this week, where the North City manager came in to E911. I have them on that board as well, and Rocky Top was represented by the police chief and fire chief. And they were there to ensure that the 911 board was going to be able to help them along the way. They made some requests. They got partially what they wanted.
So getting those in place now would be.
Yeah, and it's for this upcoming fiscal year. Yeah. But we're confident. I mean, yeah, technically, it's not done on paper, but everybody's in agreement. And honestly, Commissioner Allen, the truth of the matter is they can't. I mean, if they back out, they have no dispatch, because they've already planned their budgets to not have dispatchers. So, and honestly, the cost of just the radio equipment and just what's happening is it's leaving them behind. They can't. These smaller municipalities can't do it.
Commissioner Maynard.
Just a quick question. I think I know the answer, but the scenarios you gave us does not include sheriff's
It
office.
does.
Oh, okay.
That's for all employees.
Oh, general, sorry.
General.
Okay.
Any further questions for the sheriff? For Robbie?
So on that note, guys, the 5%, we're asking for it. but we have full faith in you guys. Okay, so just remember 55 means 55. No, I'm kidding. That's what THP says, not me.
As we sit here.
I can't help myself. That's why I'm sorry, Mayor.
I'm well aware.
The mayor cringes when we're sitting together because I got something to say. She says, "Please don't." Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So Robbie, did you mention something about you wanted something on the contracts
You
today?
don't have to.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
I included that in the, I always
Okay.
include the contract increases in the, I don't consider that something we have to vote. I mean,
Okay.
we have to pay for that or find
Yep.
a different contract.
Agreed.
Vote all together whenever we vote.
It would be the 5% in the 2 new positions.
Okay.
And the next item is the mayor's office. Mayor Frank, you have the floor, ma'am.
But not least.
Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate the very difficult job you have every year at budget season. I know it's hard as all of us come before you with the different requests. The first item that I am requesting is an increase in the hold redemption fee to $35 from $20, and then keeping the same $10 for each subsequent day. Part of that is tied to, well, one, we've not had an increase since we first put that in, but also when the animals do come in, we give them their vaccinations. So you don't have an animal with proof of vaccination, you've got to go ahead and do that. So that first day, that's what that cost is about. So.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve on that one.
Okay. Commissioner Beauchamp moves to approve. I want to make sure I want to put words in your mouth. You're approving,
Increase from, what was it, 25?
From $20 to
Okay.
$35.
all right.
Number 1 there on the.
Yeah, item number 1, which is the increase for the animal control. Okay. Seconded by Commissioner Allen. Motion, questions, Commissioner Vandegrift?
Do we know what other animal shelters charge for the reclaim?
Well, I know the only one I'm remembering right now, this kind of puts us in line, but I do know Campbell County is $45 for that first day, and then 10. So we're lower than them. So if you want to go higher and align with Campbell County, you could. And I did not bring my stack. I printed off a bunch, but I talked to Damon and kind of like what he's seen, and he felt good about that $35 number. So.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
The next item, this is just food for thought. I know there are lots of ideas out there. So if you look back, the last time we did an increase, I mean, when I first came here, I think the annual contribution for the volunteer fire departments and the rescue squad was $20,000 a year. The last time that was increased was 2016, 2017 to $27,500. And so if you go online and you use that inflation calculator where you can type in the numbers, you type that in, we're looking at today it would take, the $27,500 is the equivalent of about $37,000. And so what I'm proposing, and again, this is just a suggestion, I know there's a lot of discussion about fire, I would just suggest an increase to maybe $45,000, go above that $37,000 for each volunteer fire department and rescue squad, and keep that budgeted annually. Of course, you're going to address that going years forward. Or $50,000. And I put both of those in there because if you look at, if we did $50,000, that would be a $135,000 increase above the current contributions across all of the agencies. And that has been a number, it's kind of in line with that number where we've been budgeting for half of a fire truck each year. So you're already doing the contribution, then you're giving them that amount more. And then also, Bryce can talk a little bit about this, but I know For instance, one of the departments has said if we could get 50, then we can do, we can take care of some bills. We're also doing our fundraising, but we could also make a payment on a note for a piece of equipment or a truck. And so I just thought, kind of two things going on there. One, you help provide extra funding, and you're doing it in alignment with these inflationary pressures that they're all facing, and everybody's facing, from EMS to the Sheriff's Department. So that was just a suggestion, food for thought, whatever you would want to do on that. And then the other, we had the fire study, and one of the things, I put in there, this is one of the recommendations coming out of the fire study as a year one kind of step forward, which is an appointment of a fire marshal that would look at building plans, all of the safety things that we don't have that unless it's a large enough facility that requires the state fire marshal to look at things. So this individual would work closely with the planning department. But the primary thing, and I put this in your agenda packet, were a couple of the other job descriptions that were recommended out of that fire protection study. One being a fire support. Let me see what they call that. They have a retention specialist position, volunteer recruitment and retention specialist, and then the other, a fire support manager. And my thinking on this was this individual could be both fire marshal and fire coordinator, and that's even in the CTAS job description, that this person would be a liaison for the fire departments and rescue squad. They have no authority over the fire departments. And I got Bryce up here because I kind of wanted him to talk a little bit about this. Bryce is really doing this in many ways. But Bryce is also our EMA director, and it's a strain on Bryce. But they really use him, and I think it's been beneficial for him, or for them, and he helps direct with, hey, this is a grant, or you have a fire, for instance, that was going on in Bryceville and Rocky Top. He's there, kind of doing some of the command work there, assisting them. Not taking over their scene, but assisting where they need some of those resources. And so that was kind of my thought there. And Bryce, if you want to kind of chime in too, a little bit about some of what you do with them really in that support role.
Absolutely. So this was one of the things identified in the Mission CIT study. And when they first kind of asked the question of, do you have a fire marshal? And I told them no. And they were like, well, who does it? And I told them I did it. And they looked at me like, how are you doing that? Because it's a lot just to be the EMA director on top, having the, I deal with their budget. I make sure their 27.5 is allocated every year. They submit stuff to me, and then it gets submitted to Robbie. Another thing is we manage their, if they need a new fire hydrant in their district, we manage that part of their budget. And then we also pay the fire hydrant rentals from CUB out of my budget as well. So it's a lot of juggling around. Most of these people, the fire chiefs especially, they all have full-time jobs, and 90% of the work is administrative. So they don't have the time and the capacity to, leave their job, go home, eat dinner, and then have to go down to the fire department to deal with bills and deal with whatever they need to start looking for, researching for grants, or this set of gear is 5 years old, it's time that we start looking at replacing it. It's a lot on them, and if they had somebody full-time that could do that and help them with the administrative portions, I think it would benefit them tremendously in the long run, honestly. So it also helped me out. I feel like, not that I'm lacking in areas, but I do a disservice to kind of both sides. I can't help the fire department full-time, but I try my best, and it also takes away from my emergency management duties as well. So this will allow me to kind of shift my entire focus into emergency management. So.
The only hard part about this would be, I told Bryce, we need another Bryce. I mean, it has to be a Bryce-type personality, and he just does such a fantastic job of working with everybody. So I would fully believe that person's out there, but I don't really have a number on this, although I did, the Mission CIT put this number a little higher, and I did reach out to Mark Alley with CTAS and asked his thoughts, and he said, he felt it would be very reasonable to do kind of the entry-level salary that your EMA director is. So there would be some continuity there. So, that would be I guess entry level would be $55,000 range would be that amount. So, and that's all on that, unless you have other questions about either one of those.
Would this be a full-time?
Yes,
full-time
yes.
position? And I know it's adding a position, but that study was very good and was very objective. And there's a lot of deficiencies, and one of my concerns is that we keep giving money, and do we have the volunteers for the equipment that we're buying, and about all the things that were in the state. The deficiencies were listed there very objectively, and the suggestions were wonderful. And I think a central person, a coordinator, would kind of help bring everybody together, everybody at the table. I like the idea. I know it's out in a position, but I think it would be a tremendous, and I feel like that's something that needs to come first before we continue or even give more money.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely provide them with a lot of support.
Sure.
And, I mean, that's why they're, Bryce comes from the fire background. He comes from Clinton Fire Department. And so, they lean on him a lot. And I think the chiefs are willing to do that. And we just can help grow that, help grow their reporting. Those were some of the issues there as well. And we could be a resource.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question. Where would this person be housed, and who would be over the person?
Oh, so, we can discuss that. So, I mean, I would envision, and they're going to have to work closely with the planning department and be at planning commission meetings and do all the plans reviews. So I fully, there's going to be probably some on-site visits and stuff working out of the planning department. We could put them in there. I don't know, we could put them with EMA as well. So they could share space, 50-50.
Yeah.
Because I think they would, first of all, if we brought someone in, they would need to kind of shadow with
That's what I was
Bryce
kinda
and learn the
thinking.
relationships and do all of that. So, yeah.
I know from my old days on the fire commission, that was one of the concerns the fire chiefs had in the area was out in the county, new building goes up, they
don't
weren't
know.
really in the loop on
Yeah.
anything, so I could certainly see where that would bridge a
Yeah.
very big gap
Yeah.
out there. Any more questions for the mayor on this one? We ready to make a vote on that tonight, or would y'all like to wait on that?
I'd like to think about it.
Okay.
I
All right.
like the concept, though.
The next item on there is, much like the sheriff, I just want to advocate for, increases, salary increases for all of our county employees. And then specifically, I wanted to advocate for fleet services. They've requested, similarly to the sheriff, 5%. And then animal control, Mr. McKenna would like to give our longest-serving animal control officer an 11% increase from $19.76 to $22. He is fully trained now, deputized, has gone through the sheriff's department training. And then another employee he would like to take from $15.58 to $18 with an increase in some duties on volunteer coordination. And one other officer who is at 15, he would like to take to 17. I did share with him that I was familiar with some of the proposals that Robbie had put in front of you all, and that, for instance, if you did one of those that was on the fixed amount, $1,500 or $1,750, with folks on the lower end, that does make a higher percentage increase. And so I did share with him that that might be a potential too, even if, you know, you did not agree to those specific increases, that something might be the equivalent for what you were working on. But I did want to make sure to advocate for all of them and all of the employees. And I know you consider that every year, and you've done some great work, and I appreciate that. And then the last one is in archives. We really do have a need for a part-time person, because if you have time off, medical situation, vacation, we really need someone in there. And we've got someone really good who's willing to work part-time on a regular basis. And Robbie and I were going over the statute for the archives fees, and there are fees that are collected every year. And if those fees are dedicated to permanent records, so it can be salary, clerical staff, materials, shelving, storage materials, software, as long as it's devoted to permanent archives. So I suggested that as a source of the funds for this, instead of just tapping in to everything else, as a way to be a little more robust in that department, get some things cleaned up. And then also I did share with them that I really would like to get all of the historical minutes for county commission scanned in. So that's kind of, if we get the vault done, we get things, you know, Hal and Rex are working on some shelving, get some additional shelving in archives. Once we get all that done, then move to the everything scanned in, because it's very tedious to go down there. A lot of times we find these issues, we got to go back and try to dig through the minutes. If we can get them scanned in, if you've ever been to Tim Shelton's Register of Deeds website, it's fantastic. You can type in keywords, pull up every kind of document, and we would like to move into that direction for the archives. So I'm asking there for $13,500.
How much?
$13,500 would be the part-time code, part-time increase.
And if we dedicated the archive,
We give a revenue code that,
it would cover that 13,000?
and more, yeah.
There would be plenty to cover it.
We would also build, we restrict those funds currently, but I was telling the mayor we could cost center this, keep up with the cost and what, doesn't mean we'll use all 13.5 of it, but if we
Right.
don't, we'll just keep it back in the restricted. It also helps with the book restoration. You know, sometimes we have books that we need to fix, which we found someone that is doing that a little cheaper than we have in the past too. Zach or the mayor didn't want it, I'm
Yep.
not sure.
Yep. We're going to give them a try. We just took that to the records committee too as well. And that's all I
Questions?
have.
Any questions for the mayor? All right.
Thank you.
Mayor. All right, according to the agenda, that concludes the budget hearings. Do we have any new business come before the committee? We do.
No. I was just gonna say we gotta get our motion shoes on next meeting.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Budgets
You know
have to
me,
be-
Robbie. I got you.
We'll be ready.
We have any unfinished business come before the committee? All right, so next meeting, we need to be prepared to do some voting.
I will have all the stuff approved tonight in the budget,
Okay.
of course, and I'll try to bring some clearer numbers. I do know the Board of Trustees made a couple of decisions that, when they make decisions, and Shane's on that board as well as me and the mayor, it doesn't really have to be approved by commission and budget committee, but we did increase the matching funds of the health insurance 5%, which was a bargain, because we were asked, CBIZ, our consultant, recommended an 18% increase with optimistic of 12.99. We went with 5%. We're going to try to ask for the rollover again this year, which we think will be enough to get us through that fund and healthy. And that's the goal always, to stay healthy in that self-insurance fund. You know, so we're not, we can't. We have to make sure we have money in that fund. So anyway, that was a change that happened since last meeting. So I'll have all that figured out next month for you guys.
Any further business coming before the committee? Hearing none, we're adjourned.